Hello everyone, Empire Baron here. Thank you for joining me and welcome back. It has been quite a while since you've seen a video of me. I apologize about that. Things have been pretty busy but we finally have the observer mode we've been waiting for. We'll be able to see without fog of war both of these players battle it out. As you see, you can see both sides of their map, and that is, as they call it, the new Spectator mode. This game will be between the Babylonian civilization, which is also newly released in this patch. It is a mirror matchup. We will have in the north here SKS Anxiety, and in the south we will have Orktastic. And both of these players have been around for the whole duration of this game, been playing pretty steady. Orktastic was the king of the beta in our tournament a while ago. Now it has been just over a year. The game has now been out for exactly 1 year. They hit their anniversary, so that's pretty exciting. There's been some ups, there's been some downs, but now what came from it seems to be a pretty good game. You know, solid game with a good future, hopefully, and we'll see where it goes from here. Now, a little bit more about this Babylonian civilization. As you'll see, they have the ox cart, and that is a new addition. They're messing around with the mechanics of the RTS genre here a little bit. These are movable storehouses that you'll be able to bring out to the location of either these huntable animals or your berry bushes or your gold. Now, a few things I've been reading about in the forums is it does act a little bit like the storehouse. You have to be careful where you target it to. It is a little bit buggy. Sometimes the villagers will get locked up inside of the ox cart if it's too close to where you have a mine, for example. And so there you might want to put it a little bit back away or manually move the ox carts around so they don't get stuck. It's similar to the storehouse one where the storehouse was directly next to the gold mine or directly next to a piece of wood or a tree. Then they would the villagers would stop moving. But it seems like it's not too big of an issue. We were talking about a little bit in the balance challenge on Thursdays. They have that with Microsoft on the stream. So if you haven't checked that out, that's good to see a balance tester play against a player. So I'm sure most of you out there have heard about that. But now we have the first few buildings going down. The first building for Babylonians will either be the ziggurat if they want to age up. And that is a building similar to the temple, which allows your town center to age up. I believe in the first age it just automatically ages up. And you see the ziggurat right there for Orktastic. And there's the age up as soon as it finishes. And then they will also build the barracks. And we will start to see the first unit, which will be spearmen, come out of those barracks to defend from any kind of early rush here. So as you'll see a little bit more about this observer mode in the top here, you'll see the queues for each of the players, the resources, and the age that they are in is the little box in the right. There's a little coin there. You'll see the age on there, and you'll see the civilization emblem, and here you'll see that new Babylonian civilization emblem. And it's a nice setup. You know, there can also be in these 1v1 matches, 3 people watching. You'll see down in the chat we have I Am Farmer and Zuda with us, and they are watching the game as well. So, you know, now we're seeing this game start to advance on a little bit. We see quite a few of those ox carts being built, as you would imagine. It's a nice way to be able to, you know, really start to work on using the micro a little bit more, or macro a little bit more, getting a little bit more done instead of having to build so many storehouses like before. This way you can save a little bit of resources, transport them around, and the placement of those ox carts will be pivotal in the beginning of the economy here for both these players. It'll be very interesting to see a mirror matchup. This was the first day of the release of these civilizations, so these players haven't got to play with them too much. You know, we've seen a little bit about them, and there's the first unit we're seeing is the shield bearer, and that is an anti-archery unit. We saw a few spearmen, but now the anti-archery unit, and you see there's an ox cart followed by a bunch of villagers marching out to some area, and there was a first harassment there by there's 4 spearmen and a shield bearer is coming in. So SKS Anxiety is going to put on the first early pressure here and force Orktastic on his heels. It's going to force him to, now he's going to start getting some, no, he's just building a house there. So he's got a few Lancers. Now we're seeing a few Lancers from Orktastic come out. That is another new unit. They will be able to upgrade to the charge ability, but they are I believe, an anti-cavalry unit. and they will be able to charge in with those spears and really do some damage. It's been a really popular unit. People have really been talking good about it. And now we're seeing the first harass as these lancers come in to push the spearmen away. And now we're seeing a few slingers come out too. So slingers and lancers for Orktastic versus the spearmen and shield bearers of Anxiety. So it'll be an interesting combination. You know, this mirror matchup now is showing we're seeing all of the different arrangements. Our first engagement here is happening, and these lancers are really holding their own here against these spearmen. It is locked. It is tough to tell. Orktastic might have the advantage of being at home. Sorry, spinning the map around a little bit there. Got excited. Now we are seeing Orktastic pushing this force away of Anxiety. Anxiety is going to retreat back to the comfort of his town center, and now a few more units going down. Anxiety is going to micro them a little bit here, trying to buy him some time. But now Orktastic is really going to pump out some lancers and some slingers, and he is going to turn the tides. You'll notice the Anxiety is floating a little bit of resources. He has a little bit of food excess here. But Orktastic, he's, as you would imagine, right down in par. Very strong micro abilities or macro abilities. You see Orktastic's population is outnumbering Anxiety at the moment. So let's see how this game progresses from here. We're seeing another archery range go down. And now we're seeing the scout just keep making its way around the north for Anxiety, trying to find these hunting parties maybe, do a little bit of harassment. We're seeing troops come across the board now for Orktastic, and really they're going to start trying to hunt down and find any kind of harass damage they can do. And now we're seeing a group of spearmen, and these slingers for SKS Anxiety push away this first scouting lancer. Now we're seeing the Oxcart and villagers retreat in as these lancers and slingers are putting some harassment here on for Orktastic. Some more slingers and spearmen are on their way out, and the same combination of lancers and slingers are coming out for Orktastic. Orktastic is going to do a flanking mission around the north and see if he can maybe fork his forces a little bit and put pressure on both sides, see if he can do a little bit of economical damage. Now let's see how SKS Anxiety chooses to handle this. We're going to see this house get harassed. We might see that house go down. We are going to see that house not go down. They saved the house just barely, but they did, and that was a good move by Anxiety, pushing that force away to the north. And now Orktastic has turned the tides and has a full queue of things. He's researching some economical things. Now we're seeing a bunch more troops come out as he is really going to start putting the pressure on here now. Anxiety has not much in the queue. He's just pumping out military. Now he's got his resources down pretty good. Both players keeping their resources down good. Both still sitting in that second age position. Some elephants going down here in the south for Orktastic as he's starting to try to spread out in this map a little bit. And now we are seeing quite a few slingers come in there. Oh man, those slingers really did a number as this force of lancers is going to come around from the north and try to take out an ox cart. And that ox cart is going to be kind of stuck in there as we are seeing now Anxiety is going to split his forces, and these lancers are going to chase down and take out one of these ox carts. So the first kind of blood from the economical damage has been dealt as Anxiety is able, Orktastic is able to take out one of these ox carts. Still has a population lead. Now is starting to float a little bit of gold here as Anxiety is splitting his forces to the north and to the south and is really going to start just pumping out some militaries. He needs to catch up. He's about 13 population behind here as Orktastic now is just pumping more and more troops out. We're seeing Orktastic's base here is still pretty minimized. You're seeing not too many military buildings being pumped out. As you can see, you can mess around with the point of views. But here we are, a little bit of an engagement here as Orktastic is trying to take out this barracks to the south and maybe even start trying to push on that ziggurat. I don't know exactly how that would affect. That might delay his next age upgrade quite a bit, as he would have to build another one of those quite expensive buildings. We're seeing that barracks is on fire, but Anxiety was able to save it and push that force for Orktastic down to the south. Those lancers, now we're seeing bowmen in the mix. Bowmen and slingers and lancers are in the mix. Now we're seeing a lancer for Anxiety go in and sacrifice himself there And we are seeing just a battle back and forth here as Anxiety is trying to keep this force from Orktastic from destroying any of his buildings while not getting behind in his micro at all. And we are seeing Orktastic now is floating a little bit of resources and has lost that population lead as Anxiety is really starting to gain some ground here in this battle. We are seeing Orktastic is starting to build some more barracks. As we see only one stable's down on archery range, and he's trying to throw down a few more barracks. It looks like he's trying to save up to maybe get to this next age, get to the third age, maybe put an attack and try to prevent Anxiety from getting to that age. Let's see how it plays out here in this middle part of the game. Players are starting to get established defensive positions. Now we're seeing another one of those shield bearers come out, and that is going to help deal with those bowmen. We might see a few more because there was quite a few bowmen there for Orktastic, and he's filling up the queue as Orktastic is just going to be content to fall back here to the middle part of the map and maybe try to just hold position, get into this mid game and really start to expand here, and it'll become a macro battle as we're seeing Anxiety is able to start handling that position on the north and is now finished getting that first gold mine in his base and is now moving out to the north, and he is trying to push Orktastic back away as we see Anxiety has now just passed him in the population. You see that points start to skyrocket up. But at the same time, we see Orktastic has quite a bit more gold. Well, not quite a bit more gold, a few hundred more gold, as Anxiety seems to be crawling himself back into this battle. Now Orktastic is pretty much forced to retreat back home to deal with some of these harassments and scouts that are coming around the northern side of his base. Now we're seeing a rather large force for Anxiety start to push out across this map. We see 6 shield bearers in there, 5 lancers, and a whole party of slingers behind them getting ready to deal with that bowman assault. And now we're seeing the base here of Orktastic, as he is just trying to, now he's being forced on the defensive. He is running low on food, and he has quite the surplus of gold, so a little bit of an imbalance there, over 1,000 gold, as now we're seeing Anxiety is really going to start putting the pressure here on Orktastic to keep this expansion going, as Anxiety has just managed to crawl his way back into this game. Such a strong play we're seeing from both players. We saw Anxiety start out strong. He made a push on Orktastic. Then Orktastic returned with the same ferocity. Now we're seeing Anxiety push back, and now we're seeing kind of a stalemate as both players are starting to push their resource gathering to the outskirts of their main village as their main resources are dwindling. We're seeing a wood upgrade go down now for Orktastic, as well as a bunch more military units go out. I believe those are shield bearers getting completed at the same time as some bowmen are being finished, and still some lancers coming out as he starts to reduce the amount of gold he has down now, as Anxiety is doing a wonderful job balancing his resources. We see they are very low. But Orktastic is still keeping pace with his units, as we are seeing a force for Anxiety going to come. Orktastic going to the south of Anxiety's base, and Anxiety has his troops nowhere to be seen. It would be quite the blow if that ziggurat was taken out to the south. He is going to try to get to this barracks first. Very interesting decision to take out that barracks first, maybe cut out some of the military supply. We are seeing some also some more upgrades coming down as slingers come out, still constant villagers. Now we're seeing the force of Anxiety meet them as these shield bearers are taking quite a bit of punishment. That ziggurat did not go down yet, but Anxiety isn't confident that he has what it takes to meet this army head on. A little bit of micro as he pulls in and out, but Anxiety is going to lose that ziggurat as he is going to be forced to retreat back around the north so that he can defend from the safety of his town centers, as he is taking the long way around. And Orktastic is going to be able to do quite the damage during this attack. He is also going to start upgrading to the third age. So now we are going to see Orktastic pushing to the third age during this attack, which is a very successful attack so far. Now a ziggurat has gone down, a barracks, and an archery range is getting damaged. Finally, Anxiety is able to greet him in the city streets. A battle takes place where Anxiety is able to push away Orktastic. Now Orktastic, 3/4 of the way through his third age upgrade, is doing a controlled retreat back to the middle part of the map, where he will now no doubt hold pressure and keep control of this map as he gets to this third age. It'll be very interesting to see how long it takes. There it is. Orktastic has reached the Silver Age. How long is it going to take Anxiety, who is now holding his troops right outside the southern part of his base, eastern part of his base? Now we are seeing another engagement. These Lancers are going to charge in and try to get a surround on those shield bears. And still even battle back and forth as we see a very balanced composition. A very awkward battle going on here that just, it seems to be very balanced on both sides. And wow, what a battle that is taking place. Mainly archers with just very limited foot troops. Now all of the shield bearers have gone down, and we are just seeing archers and slingers. All of the Lancers now just about have gone down. Only there's one on each side, as it seems Anxiety, his archer ball was bigger than Orktastic's archer ball, and that held off that attack. Now we're seeing Orktastic. He's going to retreat back to the middle part of the map now. And hey, that was a good battle, a good even fight. Orktastic now, though, has been able to get to the third age, although he's fallen behind in population quite a bit. So it'll be interesting to see. Anxiety can push the pressure now, might be able to put a lot of damage on Orktastic, not allowing him to rebound, but Orktastic units are slowly going to be getting stronger and stronger. We see that Champion Slinger upgrade is about halfway complete, and Orktastic, if he is able to buy time to get that Champion Slinger upgrade right now, it would do quite the number on Anxiety's forces, because Anxiety still is not even working on that third age upgrade. And we are seeing these Lancers come in as a little scouting party, but they get greeted with quite the force by Orktastic, so they're going to run back home and say, maybe we shouldn't attack right at this moment. Even though if they did attack right now, it would be their last shining hope. But at this point now, Champion Slingers have been completed, and Orktastic is going to push up the map here as he pumps out more Slingers and tries to deal with this ball of Slingers for Anxiety. Let me turn the time here on and see what time we are at. 16 minutes. That Champion Slinger upgrade did complete. And now we are going to see if Orktastic is able to start really using this third age to his advantage. You're seeing his queue is very empty at the moment. He isn't using all of his resources, but if you look at Anxiety, he is in a really similar boat. He's struggling using, he's maxed out right now at 160, as we are seeing the player Anxiety start to move to the northern part of the base. But we have a more important engagement going on as quite a few shield bearers make their way in for Orktastic, as now we are seeing archers and slingers for Orktastic really start to put a hurting on Anxiety here. Now we are seeing still a balanced engagement, but if you look at the populations in the player base, it is starting to even out, as those Champion Slingers are really going to be putting a hurting on that force of Anxiety. Anxiety is really trying to keep pace with this, but it's getting closer and closer, the balance, and now we are seeing Orktastic pass Anxiety as this battle is really starting to look like it is going in the favor of Orktastic. Anxiety is trying to frantically push out troops. We're seeing full queue from both players, and Orktastic, though, it looks like his population is now starting to drop as he is starting to retreat. But that is the beauty of being at home. You have the reinforcements right there to back you up. But now Orktastic, he did quite a bit of damage. He was able to buy himself some more time. He has a whole new force ready to go. And now we are seeing us get to this 18-minute mark towards the end game. And still no age for Anxiety up. But Orktastic is really starting to fall behind on population, and now we're seeing the northern base for Anxiety here build up as the western base for Orktastic is just starting. So it's very interesting to see how both these players are using their resources well. Both these players are balancing how much population they have. We're seeing Anxiety has a steady advantage over population, but Orktastic has that age upgrade. So it'll be interesting to see how this late game plays out. Now we are seeing Anxiety is about halfway through getting that third age. That third age upgrade is finally on the way. And that will start to even out this battle, as now Anxiety is really starting to look like he has the favor on this game. We are seeing a force move in here from Orktastic, but I don't know if it's such a good time to move in. I mean, I guess he could use the pressure of having those slingers have the champion upgrade. He has a little bit of a population disadvantage, but it is a good time to move because it's going to take Anxiety a little bit of time to catch up on the technology. Sorry, we are getting a little bit of lag here. Looks like I Am Farmer is not responding. There is 3 other people, as I mentioned earlier, maybe watching in this observer mode. We have the 1v1, and then there's Zuda down there in the chat, as well as I Am Farmer. And it looks like everything is cleared back up now, as Anxiety has now reached the Silver Age. So we'll see how long it takes this northern base getting punished here by Orktastic, as Anxiety doesn't seem to want to move too much on this attack here, and now we're seeing chariot archers come in for Orktastic, as he's really starting to advance his troops quite a bit. Now we're seeing Anxiety push down to the south to really start to defend his base. He doesn't want to lose any buildings here. It's fine if he can build up a little bit more of a troop. You know, these buildings take a long time to go down, and now Orktastic is gonna retreat here to the south again. As not much damage was really done there. We're seeing Anxiety has a population limit of 160 going on right now. Orktastic 142 out of the 180 max. So we're going to see Orktastic probably jump up here pretty quick in population now, as he's pumping out a bunch more villagers. And he's still at the 146 though. Now we're seeing 164 for Anxiety, and a bunch of farms going down here for Orktastic in his base. Now we're seeing that wall. That's a good way to just kind of prevent any kind of harassment from going down. Orktastic has got some chariot archers down here to the western part of his base, where he's starting to set up a new town center, and that will be where he starts to expand his defensive position to. And both players working their way to control this middle part of the base. We're seeing the force here of Orktastic built up pretty well. A bunch of shield bearers are coming in. Also, these slingers are in a plenty. They are very strong in this battle so far. With these the type of encounters we're seeing now, lots of shield bearers come in from either side, as mainly shield bearers and slingers, with a few chariot archers on either side making up this battle very even. We're seeing Orktastic has a little bit fewer population, but he has also a little bit fewer more villagers. Now we are seeing a balanced battle going on here. Anxiety though does have the population edge and has more troops coming in. Here is another little bit of a lag. Reading the chat here, yeah, not exactly sure who it is. Oh, sorry about that. Not exactly sure who it is, but we are seeing this battle go down in the middle. Both players very even. It looks, though, as Anxiety has the population edge, but I know Orktastic may have the technology edge up to this point. You see Zuda, those shield things look so insane. They do add, it's quite an interesting unit. The artwork on this civilization, I must say, is really nice. And we are seeing now these shield bearers for Orktastic are really starting to do some damage to Anxiety, as these population numbers are starting to even out. We are seeing Orktastic really being able to put some pressure. Now Anxiety is forced to return. Wow, that battle looked like it was going in favor of Anxiety for a moment. Then those shield bearers broke through the lines, and Orktastic was able to break Anxiety and force him to retreat. Now we are seeing Orktastic able to put some pressure on, still behind in the population, and now he's going to get that plow upgrade down, so he's going to be able to really start pumping out some food. We are seeing more shield upgrades go down in the armory, as now Anxiety has held his position there and forced Orktastic to micro in and out of here. And now Orktastic is going to retreat back to that middle part of the base, and let's see. It'll be interesting how this game goes from here. We're seeing some stone is being collected by both of these players, so it'll be interesting now if we start seeing some fortresses go down, or how they start to secure and help fortify this middle part of the map. We're seeing the score for both players is almost dead even. Populations are not that far off. There it is. The first fortress is going down for Anxiety in the middle part of the map, as now Orktastic does not like the look of that and is trying to put some pressure on here, and Anxiety cannot allow that fortress to go down, so he is going to put the full force of his military behind defending this middle part of the position. If the middle part of this map is favored by either of these players, then they will have a huge advantage into the outcome of this battle. Now we're seeing Orktastic really trying to put pressure on it, and he is just going to have to get a fortress up of his own, as it looks like he has failed at forcing that from being or stopping that from being created, and is now kind of being routed by Anxiety by these shield bearers. And now they're turning around, and we are seeing the forces kind of jockey back and forth, but I don't think Orktastic has what it takes, and he needs to just hold the middle part of this map as best he can. Now we're seeing another wall go down by Anxiety on the right side, I believe. No, that's actually Orktastic who built that wall maybe a little while ago, and is now is just sitting there. And now we're seeing the force for Orktastic chase the force to the south of the base here, and now we're seeing this little raiding party just kind of make their way around. You see the makeup of the force here for Orktastic. Sorry about that. There's the force for Anxiety here, and they're going to try to stop this fortress from being built here, as Orktastic is trying to do what he can. But I don't know. Anxiety has quite a bit of troops there surrounding that fortress, and it is not looking good. And now we are seeing another fortress for Anxiety go down in the southern part of the map, as he is really starting to pincer Orktastic in. And now Orktastic might have a little bit more than he can handle in these defensive positions starting to close in around him. Now we are seeing it looks like that fortress for Orktastic was not able to go up. So that could be really detrimental, as Anxiety has succeeded in preventing this fortress, and there it goes down for Orktastic. That is a huge blow to Orktastic, as now troops are running amok, and Orktastic is forced to allow that fortress to go up in the south so that he can stop this force from Anxiety from moving into the north of his position. What an interesting chess match we have going on, as Anxiety just played a key move by building that fortress, distracting him to the south, forcing the troops to go down there, as he was able to stop this fortress to the north. Now we are seeing Orktastic try to build it again, as he is frantic to get some sort of defensive position built up in this middle part of the map, because that is just so pivotal right now for Orktastic to be able to hold any kind of ground that he can. He has just shown time and time in this war that he has not been able to hold ground. Every time he got any kind of pressure on, he was being able to be pushed back by Anxiety. Now we're seeing the route of Anxiety, as Orktastic is trying to just clear the middle part of this map. He has succeeded, it looks like, to a certain extent in pushing Anxiety off, but I don't see a fortress created, and it's only a matter of time before Anxiety puts that pressure back on. Both these players, even 180 population, you see both of their resources are very low, very well managed in this late part of the game. It gets very difficult to do, as so much is going on to keep those resources low. And now we are seeing Orktastic sweep around to the south so he can try to punish and take away this defensive position, as it seems now there's a wall blocking a fortress that is just really cutting off the market situation for Orktastic. And now we are seeing a fortress go up in the middle part of the map, even closer to the base of Anxiety, closer to the base of Orktastic for Anxiety, as he is just closing the grasp around Orktastic. Orktastic is trying anything he can, jockeying. If he can gain just a little bit of ground and break the position, Anxiety might have trouble. But the way it's looking, Anxiety is just growing this lead slowly but surely, pushing him across the map. And now we will see how the players manage the siege situation in Orktastic, if he is able to get siege on the map so that he can try to get rid of these fortresses, because with the makeup of these forces right now, they are just not going to be able to do enough damage to these fortresses, because only ground troops, they barely do damage. And now we are seeing the military buildings, the stables, go down for Orktastic as Anxiety is just creeping ever so closely to Orktastic's base. And he has just beautifully set up his base to the north. It's really hard to attack using the tree line in front of it. He was able to defend it, and Anxiety pushed across the map and is now just setting up a beautiful defensive position and a pincer, cutting off Orktastic from his southern base and pushing a war on two fronts. Orktastic now is just struggling, taking his full force of his troops back and forth, trying to deal with these threats. These shield bearers for Anxiety are going in and out, poking, doing damage, taking losses, but at the same time, since they're on the offensive and they have those fortresses set up, they are able to reinforce their position very well. We are seeing now some more upgrades go down for Anxiety as he is just constantly pumping out these shield bearers. As Orktastic is trying to rebuild an economy, it seems he's lost a few villagers he's trying to replace, and now we are seeing a bunch of caravans go down as Anxiety is just really starting to stockpile up some gold. Now, if he could catch his food up and get to this this next age, we might see the end of this game really shortly, depending on if Orktastic sees like he is able to break any of this line. I just don't see it happening. I don't see at this point that he's able to do it. But if he could get some siege in the right position, and you never know, Anxiety makes a mistake here or there, and Orktastic is such a strong player, he may be able to capitalize on that. Let's see how he starts to advance on these positions. He still has quite a bit of ground troops. He's keeping pace with population. So there's no question that Orktastic is going to be able to hold out in this battle for quite a bit longer. We are seeing now a little bit of stockpile in food for Orktastic, slight stockpile, but he doesn't have quite the gold that Anxiety has, solely because of that southern base for Anxiety, and that fortress is cutting off his market, and it's forced Orktastic in, and he's enclosed in his base. You even see here to the north, he is pinned in, and Orktastic just is not able to go out and either get gold or use that market, which in this late game is pivotal to just being able to advance your technology. The later in these games, the more gold rich everything becomes. Now we are seeing the first routing of the fortress as Orktastic is starting to push back. Anxiety still has a population advantage. He seems to have sacrificed that, and I'm not exactly sure what his plans are from here. Still no siege going down. You'd think Anxiety would have tried to make some siege and really get in there and do some building damage here. He really wasn't able to take advantage of any of that ground that he had. Now he's building up. No, that's Orktastic building a wall. So Orktastic was able to gain some ground there and push and take down at least that northern fortress, take back some of his land. So don't count Orktastic out. He has still got a huge ground force, pretty advanced technology, and we're seeing another fortress go down here to the south of the base of Anxiety, and he is going to put pressure on this northern town center, and I think he's going to take it out. That's going to force Orktastic to respond to that, and now he's building some stables to the north, and we are just seeing Anxiety slowly but surely. He's giving a little bit of position here and there, but then he takes position back. We're seeing Orktastic, he's stockpiling quite a bit of wood, and that's because he has extra villagers, and he isn't able to expand to the places he needs to go to take advantage and get food or get gold or get stone, for that matter, to progress into this late part of the game. We might see him have to sell off some of that wood for resources, and that rate will help or hurt him in the long run, as Anxiety, having map control, won't have to do that. We are seeing now the response from Orktastic. The full force of his military is going to greet Anxiety's attack on that northern part of his base, but that town center did go down and the fortress did go up, and there's the siege workshop for Orktastic, as we are going to start to see some siege for Orktastic. It's about time. Another fortress is going to go down here, but still no siege on the horizon for Anxiety. And I'm a little nervous for Anxiety that could cause him an issue. If he doesn't get some of that on the field here rather quickly, he is going to really struggle on getting these building damage that he needs to do. These fortresses are good to hurt ground troops, but against buildings, you see that Siege Workshop is taking quite a bit of punishment before it goes down. Another fortress is eking ever so close, and now that one is getting canceled as he might have got a little bit greedy there, being that the full force of Orktastic troops is right there. Now we are seeing a gate here and a wall to the north for Anxiety and some troops being housed behind it, forcing Orktastic to keep some of his troops to the north to defend against the harassment from the enemy wall. You are seeing these gardens also. That's another thing with Babylon. They have gardens, and the more gardens you have, the more of a bonus to certain stats you get. And you can also upgrade that, which gives you a better percentage. But that's just another interesting feature to this Babylonian. There they are. The upgrade increases the training time or decreases the training time and the cost. Just the more gardens you have, I guess the idea, a more peaceful society. I mean, it's more realistic factors going into the features of this game, which is, interesting twists. Interesting strategies are going to have to take place. How many gardens should you make? How many is too much? All things that we're going to have to figure out as this game progresses. We are seeing quite an interesting engagement go on as Anxiety is really putting pressure on, and now we are seeing Siege come out for Orktastic as he's still not quite sure where to send that siege tower, but he's going to send it backwards, it looks like now, as it finds a way through. But now we are seeing the fortress defend this town center position as Orktastic is trying to keep control of any part of his land, as Anxiety is just really taking away the options of resources that Orktastic is going to have. We are seeing there's the market set up for Orktastic. We are seeing that wall start to go down for Anxiety as Orktastic is going to start to try to clear out Anxiety from his land, but it's going to be quite a mission because Anxiety now has got siege workshops down, and he has just built so many fortresses that Orktastic is really going to have a tough time putting too much more pressure on Anxiety without lots of siege. And also Anxiety has just protected his borders from any kind of harassment. Very well thought out city planning here, and Anxiety is just slowly whittling away at Orktastic, who has stockpiled quite a bit of wood now, way too much. He should have either sold that off already at this point, or tried to really use it up. You really can't use up that much wood. There he goes. He just sold it off as we speak, and now he's going to start to really try to pump out any kind of forces he can. But the positional advantage, the population advantage, and it looks like even now the technological advantage is all going to be in the court of Anxiety, as I believe it's only a matter of time before Orktastic calls it a game. And we had quite an interesting battle go on between both of these players. Really strong play shown, and it looks like Anxiety, he could have maybe put the nail in the coffin a little bit earlier if he had built siege, maybe a little bit earlier, and when he had the middle of the map, he could have attacked through. But it was a really good battle, a little bit awkward. We don't see too much anti-infantry troops thrown in there, but at the same time, it's mainly archer balls. The lancers have interesting combinations thrown in there, but it was a good, hard-fought battle. Anxiety just pincered off Orktastic. Now we're seeing Orktastic kind of go around to the north just to see what Anxiety is made of. But I see the GG down in the chat for Orktastic. There it is. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the first battle of the Observer mode. There's going to be lots more to come. So if you unsubscribe to the channel, please check us back out on a constant basis. There's also been some other interesting things coming out in the community, as I talked about earlier. The balance challenge, where you can find out how you can play against other balance members. We're also going to get some streaming going on pretty soon. So keep posted here on the forums. Thanks everybody for watching. Empire Baron out.